This is The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Roadmap exclusively here on ASBN.com. I'm Lee Heisman, and every week we bring you some of the brightest entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business owners who are climbing the ladder, scaling their businesses, and thinking one day how to exit stage left. Today we have a very special guest, my goodness, all the way in from Los Angeles, Sasha Strauss. Thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be
CEO and founder of the Innovation Protocol. Talk about that. Talk about what you do there. You know, the concept of branding is so obscure to most business owners out there, understanding what they're doing, but this is your expertise.
Yeah, it is obscure, but once you know it, you've got it in you. So it's one of those things that it's worth the investment to think about. But as stated, branding is this strategic decision. How do I want my audiences to see me, know me, trust me, refer to me? And you can let that happen haphazardly, accidentally, organically, or you can think about it. You could be intentional about it, and that intentionality creates business strength, employee engagement, customer advocacy. It's that process that is called branding.
Well, you've been doing this now. You founded this 20 years ago. You've been doing this for over 2 decades now, is that correct?
You're making me feel my gray hair, but yeah, running in IP 20 years, but in the business 30 maybe.
What prompted you to go from being in the business to then opening your own firm?
Wow, I don't recommend opening an agency to anybody. But basically, I was getting in trouble at the agency I was working for.
Explain that if you don't mind.
My life of getting in trouble. Well, basically, I was doing a lot of nonprofit work. I was using my professional daytime skill, evenings and weekends, doing the same professional branding work I was getting paid for during the day for commercial brands like Adobe, Yahoo, Microsoft. I was doing that side hustle at night and on the weekends for nonprofits.
So why? Why would you do that?
Why would I do it side hustle, or
Yeah.
why do nonprofit work?
All of the above.
Well, you have to. I really firmly believe that the best philanthropy you can do is to take what you are professionally best at and do that for nonprofits. It does, even M&A, it doesn't matter, whatever your magic is, there are nonprofits going through this, that, and they need counsel. They need specialty counsel. And so my ask of everyone, doesn't matter who you are, how many years you've done your work, whatever you're getting paid for during the day, that should be what you give away to nonprofits. And I got in trouble for doing that.
You got in trouble from your current work.
Well, multiple employers got me in trouble. I was penalized for using my professional skill. You know, in consulting, you often work 80-hour weeks. So if Sasha was working 79-hour weeks, but didn't have that final billable hour, they were like, why didn't you bill that hour? And I was like, oh, I was at the board meeting for the nonprofit, you know?
Exactly.
So eventually I got in trouble so much that I had kind of like a punk rage where I was like, well, you know what? Fine then, I'm gonna start my own firm and we're gonna do nonprofit work all the time. It's gonna be foundational to what we are. And I did that, and I was able to create a rule where every employee spends 10% of their time working on nonprofit consulting engagements.
So I like that you're dating us, Sasha, and I don't know your age, we didn't talk about it. I'll be 54 very soon, and I like that the rage was punk rage. Is that what it was? You were dating yourself to that era?
Oh, punk is ever present, friend. It has not gone away. It endures for sure. But yeah, it was sort of like Southern California, like, all right, you know, if you don't like it the way that it is, then change it kind of attitude. And that fueled me, I guess. I was sort of going against the machine, raging against the machine, whatever, not punk rock, but still. And that fueled my entrepreneurial spirit.
And that's when you opened Innovation Protocol.
Yeah, I basically hit a road where I was like, all right, I'm tired of being yelled at by my employers for doing good in the world, you know, like get mad at me for something else. But it was one of those things. It was instilled in me through my family, through my community, through the Boy Scouts, you know, that you don't wait until you retire to do good work. You do it now. And so not only was I able to build a firm doing it, but nonprofits are an incredible customer.
Explain that, elaborate.
Okay. Well, even even businesses that are built by founders, driven by emotion, et cetera, they're still commercial entities. So they're, trying to create value for their shareholders, owners, whatever. Whereas obviously with a nonprofit, theoretically it shall not generate a profit, and it's trying to work in the most efficient and direct way possible. And that passion, that cause does drive the entity, but you also need it to be an operational success. So it's awesome, interesting as a consultant to deal with a circumstance where we're not trying to maximize profit, we're trying to run a tight ship, but we've got a communication problem. If we were better communicating internally and externally, maybe we'd be able to save more lives, help more people. And so I guess there's something emotionally stirring about that, but getting to help these organizations affect more lives reminds you why you do what you do.
So I'm going to echo that. You're exactly right. As you know, I'm in the M&A space, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of successes with exiting a lot of business owners for a lot of money. And I find myself falling madly in love with the very small clients that we usually turn away, that we can't put on the road to an exit.
Yeah.
But I tend to put energy and effort into those clients a little bit more, although I shouldn't even take them on, because there's something, and I'm not saying those are nonprofits, they are profitable, but they wouldn't have a path if I didn't utilize the skill of our firm to help them as well.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right on that.
And maybe now's not the time here, the interview switches, but there are a lot of duplicative nonprofits, lots of overlap, seeking the same grant funding, et cetera. And I really believe that bringing some of them together is in the best interest of their constituents. I don't know whether that would create revenue for your firm, but setting a goal of helping one nonprofit merge a year, I think would be incredible for your developing talent. It also is a great story. This is one of the reasons why nonprofit work has been so good for my firm, is that I was pitching Google one year, and all of the other agencies that were pitching against us were they're in the pitch, they're like, well, let me show you what we're recommending for you, Google. Let me show you how we did it for Facebook, right? Peer analysis. And we came in and we're like, hey, Google, just want you to know the problem you've got, nonprofits have it too. In fact, here's a case study of a nonprofit with 100 products like you have, Google, where there was confusion in the market. And look how they simplified. Look how they changed the way that they communicate to make it easy for you to figure out what you want to donate to. Well, we got the work.
Because of that was a different approach
Exactly.
than anybody else.
Nonprofit work is seen differently. People are open-hearted to it.
So what is the difference? I mean, you've had the fortune of working with the Google, with Disney, with with PayPal, Nestle.
Yeah.
Working with these large organizations, did you pick them up day one? Did it take many, many years to get in front of them? And then how is it different than working with other organizations?
Long, hard road to acquire clients like that. So there was no trick, there was no friend. There was just doing good work, teaching good work, training up good staff, and earning the permission to be at the meeting. I know, you wish that there was some parachute you could use, but no, it was like doing good nonprofit work, meeting the board of directors of the nonprofit, who are often community leaders, business leaders, them, speaking about your good work and referring you. So that's how we ended up getting those opportunities.
So reputation, it seems like you built a lot of your success on reputation.
Well, branding is the intentional building and maintenance of an identity.
So I was let me jump into that. You said a key word. Getting the appointments, building, but you just said something that was integral here, was maintenance. So sure, you get in front of Disney, Nestle, PayPal, Google, you potentially win those opportunities. But now talk about working with firms like that and maintaining the relationship.
Yeah, you asked me a relative question about that, and I didn't touch on it, which is that even though we as citizens, we see these massive institutions, right? You say them and you have to think about the billions that they're worth. It's like, what? I want all the entrepreneurs and small and medium business owners out there to know that, wow, there is not something at the top of those organizations that is, like a wizard, a magical mind, someone who knows things that you don't know. No, they're just ordinary people like you and I, trying to get our salad at lunch, figuring out how to be best to our family. And they don't have some access or knowledge, or their college degree, your college degree. No, they're just trying to figure it out every day. And I say that that was really important to me as an owner-operator myself, was to be working for the world's largest organizations and seeing that those leaders had the same challenges that I have.
But they had resources, they have staff, they seem to have a larger amount of resources, yes or no?
Yeah, well, sorry, I had a physiological response to that. Resources take time and focus to utilize. So let's not get blinded by, wow, they have a whole skyscraper of people. Lee, managing a skyscraper of people, that's so hard. That's so emotionally consuming, at least for people like me. In fact, my grad students make fun of me, but they know that I can only love 25 people at the same time. So like when I employ people, I have like a cap on how many I can employ. I just don't have the emotional capacity to love the 26th person. So anyway, if you're
How many people do you have at your firm?
well, I still try to keep it under 25, depending on the scale of work and the international demand.
But do you have more than 25?
I got to 29 at one point.
So do those 4 people feel really bad?
No, because they were adjacent. There was love in our community of 25 core.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, give me a hard time, because it's true. And I was on the record saying I only can love 25 employees at the same time. And my firm let me get to 26, 27, 29. And only when I was at 29 and I'm like, there's something wrong with the ship, Captain. It was like, oh, well, the problem is that you're having to divide up your affection, care, focus, career development, and you can't do it in 29 ways. So all that to say that I spent a year and a half refocusing, restructuring the business so that it doesn't ever need 29 people.
Fair. And I do love your Star Trek reference as well. That was well done. It
was unintentional, I guess.
Yeah, it was
just
exceptional.
Social
Well,
clip.
you also touched base, and I'll pivot slightly, is you mentioned students. And people and viewers out there watching you, we're talking about Google, Disney, we're talking about working with these large companies, but then you mentioned students. Talk about this collegiate career that you have.
All right, this is where I start crying in the interview. Darn you, Lee. No.
We're Firestone. We talk about this.
Yeah, so when I found strategic branding, brand strategy, I was like baffled by the light. You know, like, what? I know that organizations are communicating. I feel it. I am moved by it. I want to pray with them, eat with them, drive them. I want to do those things. But why do I? You know, that was like 18 and a half, having like an existential crisis. Like, why do I want to eat that or drive that? And I found through research this architecture, this concept of strategic branding, this intentional definition of who you are and why you matter, and communication of it, and realized that I was being manipulated. And I had I had to have a moment where I was like, there was a period of, I remember it vividly in college, where I was like, is this making you so angry that, you want to like extract yourself from society? Or is there something really holy about this, where if people are looking for a car, or people are looking to donate to a nonprofit, those that are more intentionally communicated deserve that audience's attention? And so once I saw that light and got excited about doing that, then I was like full bore. I now understand how important branding is. Everyone deserves to know. And so I swear this is what happened. I started calling up like high school clubs, church groups, mosques, truly, I mean, no joke, and said, hey, this is happening to your community. They're being swayed. They want that hamburger because they're being manipulated. They deserve to know. And so believe it or not, like 1 out of 10 organizations said yes. And so as soon as I had the chance to show people this truth, I was like, this cannot stop. People deserve to know that they're being manipulated and deserve to know how to steward their businesses and organizations. I want to teach them. So as soon as I knew that branding was this powerful tool for good and bad organizations, I taught as many communities as much as I possibly could, and then eventually I was asked to become a graduate school professor.
At UCLA?
At USC initially.
Uh-huh.
I still teach at USC 18 years later, executive MBAs. But I also teach at a few different business schools at the same time. UCLA, Anderson, UC Irvine, Mirage, St. Gallen in Switzerland. And I get to move around between these amazing cohorts and see the leaders of now, the leaders of the future, as they're like pupating. And it's unbelievable.
Well, Sasha, I'll be honest, you're pretty unbelievable. Let's talk about your experience in the old Bond movie. There was an old Bond movie. From Branding with Love, from Russia with Love, from Branding with Love. Sorry.
Thank you. No,
I'm joking. It wasn't a Bond movie.
Well, that was the point. You're referencing my TEDx talk.
Yeah, talk about this.
Well, I want to give you credit and thank you for that suggestion. I grew up in the Bond movie era. And
well, you referenced punk rock. You did a Star Trek reference. We're talking about. I mean,
hey, I'm just trying to be of the people, friend. Try to be
Exactly.
of the people. Yeah, when I wrote my TEDx talk, I did things on purpose. Again, I'm a brander, so I didn't just like get on stage. I watched countless TED Talks, tried to extrapolate like, what incited curiosity, what was distracting, whatever. And one of the things I noticed were that obscure titles people didn't connect with. So I tried to, determine, well, what is a title that could hook with 10% of the audience immediately? And anyone who's old enough to have cared about James Bond movies would know From Russia with Love. And so that's where I came up with From Branding with Love. And I was honestly thinking to myself, if this is the only time I ever get the mic, what do I want people to know? And my little weepy self said, I want people to know that they can use branding to garner love, to get attention and care. And that's okay, that there's nothing wrong with it. It's what great leaders do. And so that's what that TED Talk was about.
Well, I have to pivot as well too, and I know where we're going to end up, but before we get to the end, because time flies while we're having fun, the way that you carry yourself, Sasha, us just meeting today, of course, thank you for coming all the way in from the West Coast, of course, and I will discuss why you're here, and I've had the fortune of having you on the show today. Viewers listen to you, and I'm listening to you, and I know the truth, and I want them to know the truth. It seems like it all comes pretty easy to you. It doesn't seem like you have to work hard to be so thoughtful, so intentional, so considerate, and again, your message is spreading love. I can see not just for your employees, for your clients, but everybody has their own challenges, and I can tell you're not the kind of person to complain. But I want to share because it's inspiring to know there was a moment, a year and a half, 2 years ago, where you were just having a normal life with your family and you ended up waking up in the hospital. Can you briefly talk about that?
Sure. I want to restate something that you said, which is that it hasn't been easy. And I think if there's anything I would want to say as a founder, CEO, is it isn't easy.
But see, you make it look easy. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when you dialogue and just meeting you and your energy, people like you make it look easy. And others might look and say, I'm never going to be that way, or I have too many challenges. And that's why I wanted to share one of the challenges you went through.
Yeah, it's so freaking hard. It's always hard, but it feels like it's worth it. That's kind of the point, is you look at people climbing mountains like Everest and you're like, 'cause why? Why be that hard? And 'cause you can, and doing it feels amazing. So even though it was always hard, it was hard when I was a child because I was in special ed, in American special education until I was 19 years old, and taught as a special ed child, referenced as special ed. And so that was restrictive. Now it's cool to be neurospicy.
Neurospicy.
Yeah, write that one down. Now it's cool, but back then it was a problem. You were immediately sequestered. And so that affected my ability to learn. It affected how I saw myself. But I think I seem to have gotten through it. I learned my brain, for lack of a better term. I came to understand how my consciousness works. Little tricks, like I learned while studying for finals, like in college, that if I just took one book to the library and tried to study it for 3 hours, no retention, no recall. But if I brought 3 different subjects and moved between them in 15-minute doses, I could slay all 3. they're like learning your consciousness. And so I did that. And I thought, finally, all right, I've got this. I'm in college. I started a business in college. It scaled to 80 people. I didn't know that I could only live 25 back then. And so all that to say, I kind of like mastered my mind. And then a year and a half ago, like you were referencing, I woke up in the hospital, not knowing why I was there, to the news that I had 9 major seizures because I have had a brain tumor. A brain tumor that had gotten so big that my brain finally like sent out a signal to my body and said there's a problem. Had no idea. Was like living life, traveling weekly for business, being with our babies, living our family life. And so waking up in that hospital was shocking on a level that I cannot describe. It's like, you read books about this stuff, watch movies about this stuff. But the doctors said, you're lucky that you were 4 blocks from this hospital. You're lucky you weren't on one of your international flights or driving. And so in the hospital, they asked me, is it okay if we don't let you leave? We cut out this big part of your brain and see how it goes.
And see how it goes.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest piece of information. And here, a year and a half later, still the hardest piece of information is, how's it going? Like, is it work? Can I put the pen cap on, or do I remember my social security number? Like, all the things. Think about that. Like, all the things. If someone told you, I'm going to delete 1/8 of your brain.
I would say, can I pick the parts that I allow you to delete?
Oh.
That would be.
I did say, can I have what you cut out? Can I like have the thing? And they said, no, it's like a health violation or something silly like that.
Makes sense.
But the minute they said, we're going to cut it out, the minute I woke up after the surgery, and every minute since, I've asked myself, what is different?
And the answer?
We're going to cry again, Lee. I don't know. I'm hungrier. I mean, this might be interesting. For the 20 years prior to my brain tumor, I was a flexitarian vegetarian. I know that you're an expert health person, but I'm not. And my way of navigating global travel and not insulting cultures was to be a vegetarian. And then when I was in control of my own self, like on an airplane, vegan. But when I woke up from brain surgery, and they're like, all right, Sasha, welcome back. We're going to order food for you for dinner tonight. What would you like? And I Scouts Honor swear that I said, steak and a Coca-Cola with ice, please.
Interesting.
Isn't that so crazy that
Very funny.
That's what happened? And I let myself do it, So that's something that's different. Another thing that's different is that my body was damaged by the seizures. And so I'm physically impacted. I can't walk or run like I used to. Things changed. And so I'm trying to know that. I'm trying to find that truth and work on it. But it's scary to not know. And so.
Yeah, but you know what? We don't know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. So welcome to the club of not knowing everything, Sasha.
You say that, but that's what my doctor, I'm like, after the surgery, like sit across the doctor, and I'm like, tell me everything. And he said, welcome to not knowing anything.
There you go. And I'm going to say also, in my old age of 54, welcome to the club of life changing and me not running the way I used to and working out the way I used to. So, I'm thankful that you're here with us today, and I'm thankful that you're here not just for me, but for all the people that you've helped. How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out for so many reasons?
Okay. Well, if you want to learn about my speaking, sashastrauss.com is the best place to go. If you want to learn about brand consulting and my business, Innovation Protocol, innovationprotocol.com is the best place to go. And if you just want to be business collaborators, follow, learn from one another, LinkedIn is the best place.
No, they're all the second best places because I have a front row seat to the best place right now,
wow.
being with you today. So I can't thank you enough. Sasha Strauss, my gosh, CEO and founder, Innovation Protocol. Sasha, thank you for coming in. I'm looking forward to our afternoon together, and I know a ton of people are going to reach out to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining this journey today with us. This has been amazing for me. I hope the show was as insightful for you. We hope to see you again on another show of The Roadmap next week.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.